Alright, what if I told you that your pantry, that little closet full of your old Halloween candy, is actually the secret to saving thousands on your food bill? Now don't just take my word for it, but I interviewed one of our Frugal Rich members, April, who's also known as the kitchen strategist, and she has been able to implement a game plan for her pantry organization that has allowed her to save thousands and even pay off her house because she's lowered her food bill by that much. So in this video, we're gonna talk about her 4 pantry organization tips, 2 of her best grocery saving tips, as well as her favorite kitchen gadget that is 100% worth it. But before we get deep into the interview, let's talk about what her life was like before she had a game plan. Before you implemented a game plan, what did your grocery spending or food spending look like?
It was horrible. Like, I would go back, so I'm a huge budgeter, and I would go back and look and see that I was spending sometimes $1,000 a month on groceries. And a lot of times it was wasted groceries. It was so unnecessary. But then I decided, I was like, listen, I'm gonna cut this thing down to $500 a month. And I was able to do that.
How large was the family that you were feeding?
So when I decided to cut this budget, it was a family of 5, and there were 3 teenagers and me and my husband.
All right, and so with that, let's jump into pantry tip number 1. Air is your enemy. Now, what the heck does that even mean?
So when it comes to airtight containers, air is the enemy of food preservation. That is the biggest thing to remember. So it's the same with freezer, right? You want to make sure you're getting all the air out when you're freezing things. It's the same in your pantry. When you look in there and you have like half open boxes of like lasagna noodles or spaghetti noodles, those things have a long shelf life, but not if they're not stored properly. So I think it's super important to make sure that you're putting things in airtight containers, but also to keep critters out. We like to keep really clean homes, right? But in the summer, you cannot pass the ants. Like, I don't care what anybody says, ants are so hard in the summer. But those airtight containers keep things and those little bitty bugs out of your flour, out of your sugars. So the airtight containers themselves, they're just a lifesaver for me. I mean, I've never had any issues with my airtight containers. I buy really good quality ones. I think the ones I've had for probably like 7 or 8 years. I had them for a very long time. Yeah, so if you make a good investment up front, it will save you tons of money in the long run.
Actually, okay, 2 questions. First one is, what's the brand of the airtight containers?
It's a OXO is the ones that I use, but you can also use like glass containers. If you're looking for that Pinterest pantry, then you can use the cutesy ones you find at the discount stores with the like wood tops, because I use some of those for my teas and coffees and stuff like that, but they're just cute. I like functionality over cuteness, so you just kind of gotta pick your poison, right?
It turns out her favorite brand of airtight containers was the OXO Pop containers, or to just use regular glass containers. Either way, it not only keeps air out, but it also allows you to see how much food you have left. Pantry tip number 2, organized based on categories.
So 1, I like to organize my pantry based on categories. That way, when I open the pantry, I can see where everything is. So I have a baking area, I have an area where it comes to snacks, I have a bulk area where it's all the things I buy in bulk, the things that are gonna last a long time, like my sugars, my oats, my flours. So I make sure that my pantry is organized in zones. And that way, when I open up the pantry, I can see right away what's missing and what I need to buy.
And immediately after this, I just assumed that she had a big ol' walk-in pantry, but that was not the case. When you organize your pantry into zones, what does that look like? Are those separate shelves?
Yes,
do you have like a walk-in? And
it's not a walk-in. I wish I had a walk-in pantry. It is my dream goal. I'm even thinking about extending a part of my kitchen just so I can have a walk-in pantry, but you know, life goals. But I have like 5 shelves. And then at the bottom, it's a very empty space. I'm actually in the middle of getting ready to redo it. So I can't wait for that. But I have it in shelves. And so it's just, they're kind of like split in visual lines where you can look to the left and you can see this is where the pastas are. This is where the snack bin is. Over to the right, this is where all the baking goods are and maybe the canned goods and the extra stored oils and stuff like that. So it's just me creating a visual line. I like divided the pantry in 3 sections and separated it out like that.
So right now for my wife and I's pantry, our bottom area is very miscellaneous, you know, that place where there's not a shelf. So let me know in the comments, what do you hold at that bottom layer of your pantry? How do the zones help you when you're doing your grocery shopping?
Okay, so what I oftentimes do is I make sure that I create the list based on what I know we need, but I do that based on what we already have. So that's how I create my meal plans. Like, this is what we already have. This is what we're gonna eat this week. So what I do is I go in there and I open up the pantry and I look at my zones like, okay, well, are we gonna have spaghetti this week? I can literally look straight to the left and see whether or not I have spaghetti noodles or not.
Pantry tip number 3, FIFO, or if you're an accountant, FIFO.
Okay, so you gotta have inventory systems in place, because this is going to help you determine if something's going to go bad. Because remember, we can't be out here wasting our money. Food is already super expensive, right? So you want to make sure that you have like a first in, first out type of system going on. And what I typically do is I move everything to the front, and then when I go grocery shopping, if I bought anything that's a duplicate for whatever reason, then it goes straight to the back. So whatever it is that's already open, like a bag of chips or something, it comes to the front. Canned goods that are going to expire sooner versus later, everything comes to the front. That way I can use those things first and build my meal plans around what I know is going to expire soon.
Now for me, this was genius. Grocery stores do this all the time, and why don't we do this in our own kitchen? For me personally, I think setting up the system is always fun and dandy, but to actually be diligent and to keep up with it, that's where it gets difficult. So that's why this next tip could provide the reset that you need. Pantry tip number 4, the deep clean. Honestly, April had such great energy throughout this entire interview. You can check out her channel using the link in the description. But one of the biggest takeaways I got from this tip was what she did with her potential food waste. You know, the stuff that's going to expire soon, but she doesn't just throw it away. She actually uses it as an opportunity to give back.
Oh, okay. So for pantry tips, I think we covered the top 3 tips, which was the airtight containers, I do categories, and inventory systems. But what I will say, every 3 to 4 months, I do a deep clean of my pantry. I think that's essential to clean out your pantry. And so right now we're going into holiday season. So people need to kind of like go through and like dive in and see like, what do I have? Like, so for me, this is a time where I'm making sure that I'm filling in all my gaps. Like, hey, this is what I know. I don't want to run to the store. So I got to clean out my pantry completely. Like, it's about to be a total gut job. So because there's things in there that are unopened that I haven't used. And I'm like, do I need this soon? Or do I just go ahead and use it up so I can make space for something else? So that cleaning out your pantry every 3 to 4 months. So look at it as when the seasons change. When the seasons are changing, the types of food you're buying changes as well, because there are seasonal fruits and vegetables, right? So when those things are changing, that's the perfect time to start cleaning out your pantry.
What do you do when you find something that you're probably not going to use, like in the back corner of your pantry?
First thing I do is check the expiration date. So if it's not opened and it's not expired, I donate it to the food bank.
That's definitely one huge thing I got from our conversation, is to start donating to food banks and food pantries. I already know there are some black beans sitting in our pantry right now, untouched and dusty, that could go to a better place. And of course, let me know in the comments, have you donated to a food bank or pantry before, and what was that process like? Honestly, it seems pretty simple. Okay, let's switch gears. You saw that? That was a little gear shifting motion. And let's jump into the grocery saving tip. Now that our pantries are organized, how can we best use that to save on our actual grocery shopping? And I have to tell you right now, stick around for the second grocery saving tip, because this one was mind-blowing, especially for someone that has only grocery shopped at Walmart and Aldi. Grocery saving tip number 1 is to shop the gaps.
That means you look through your pantry, and if you're going through your pantry every now and then, making sure your inventory system is right, then you know what you have and what you don't have. Now you make your grocery list, and your grocery list is based on what you already have and what you know you want to eat for the week. And whatever you don't have, it's called being in the gap. So you go to the grocery store based on what's in your gap. And if you are one of those people who tend to overspend, then I would say don't be afraid to use an app. I'm okay with using a grocery app every now and then. So it saves you money more than you believe it does. But shop the gaps. Do not go off course. We are shopping the gap.
And now grocery savings tip number 2 is actually one that I was not expecting from April at all, but apparently it is her ultimate hack. Let me know if you also do the same.
But I also have one that people are going to be like, my biggest ultimate kitchen hack that saves me so much money is I buy my meat from farms whenever possible.
What does that look like?
So it's a good amount of money up front. However, it's money that I've saved in my buckets throughout the year. So I'll give you the best example. We buy a quarter of a cow. Yes, we buy a quarter of a cow. And on average, we're spending about $4 to $6 a pound. And so we spend a good amount of money up front. It lasts us 9 months to a year because we don't eat beef every single day.
Now, one thing I do wonder after this part of the conversation is how do you know what is a legitimate or a good farm to reach out to? So if that's something you already do to get your cuts of meat, let me know in the comments. And with that, just for fun, I wanted to ask her, what is her favorite kitchen gadget? Like, what gadget does she actually use on a regular basis, and what was actually worth the price? And her answer may or may not surprise you. What is one kitchen gadget that was totally worth the money for you?
So one is complicated for me because I'm the kitchen gadget queen and I love all things kitchen gadgets. But if I had to pick one, it would be my air fryer. And yes, it would be my air fryer. And I have owned a ton of them from just various brands because I love using my air fryer. I oftentimes give them away to my family member and buy myself a new one. But what I have found is the ones that cost the least perform the best.
Again, I gotta give a shout out to April, aka the kitchen strategist, for hopping on the Frugal Rich channel. Once again, you can see her videos in the description below. And if you're curious on how I do my grocery shopping personally, where I've been able to keep my grocery bill under $500 a month, you can click on this video right here and I'll walk you through it step by step. So give it a click and I will see you guys over there. Peace.